Monday, February 21st, 1960, and the relative silence of the Verdun sector is broken by the earth-shattering sound of German artillery. With over 1,200 artillery guns and 1 million shells, the Germans bombarded French positions along the town of Verdun for over 10 hours. This was the opening phase of the Battle of Verdun. Shortly after the rounds stopped, the German 3rd, 7th, and 18th Corps assaulted. The French, badly battered by the relentless bombardment, offered little resistance, inflicting few casualties to the advancing Germans. Verdun, a small French fort town to the northeast of France, surrounded in hills and covered by forts. It was a result of the French loss of Alsace-Lorraine to Germany in 1871, and to act as a counterbalance to the stronghold of Mentz. What's key to note about the Battle of Verdun was that it wasn't a complete shock, as depicted in some film and television series. The French did have an idea that something was occurring after discovering the buildup of German troops along the right bank of the Meuse, but were unable to bolster the defenses enough to assist in the first days of the battle. At the end of the first day, the Germans had penetrated the French lines, occupying the Bois de Haumont, a small wooded area. And then the following day, the French launched a counterattack, desperate to push the Germans out of their recently captured territories, but it was unsuccessful. Beaming from not only the success of the initial offensive, but also the capture and total destruction of Fort Douaumont, the Germans felt that this battle could result in victory. But by the end of the week, the German advance had slowed. The French Second Army, under General Philippe Pétain, was brought in and given the task of holding a defensive line from the east bank of the Meuse to the village of Douaumont. On the 26th to 29th of February, roughly 500,000 Germans assaulted the Second Army's position at Douaumont village, but failed to secure it. The immediate and decisive victory the Germans wished for at Verdun had failed to materialize, and despite the rushed nature of the French defenses, the lines were holding. The die was cast, and the Germans, desperate to disorganize the Allied attack at Picardy, kept fighting with a brutal and violent tenacity. The Germans once again assaulted Douaumont village, now simply a bombed-out crater of what it used to be due to the unending artillery, the likes of which has ensured that the village could never be rebuilt. Verdun was now a slow and attritional grind, and from March 6th to the 23rd of June, fighting was never-ending and violent. German and French forces clashed for the left and right flanks of the Meuse River, with hand-to-hand combat and constant artillery bombardments being a day-to-day operation. As German and French forces both attempt to defend and flush the other out, often with explosive tenacity, as described by a French rifleman. When you hear the whistling in the distance, your entire body preventively crunches together to prepare for the enormous explosions. Every new explosion is a new attack, a new fatigue, and a new affliction. Even nerves of the hardest steel are not capable of dealing with this kind of pressure. The moment comes when the blood rushes to your head, the fever burns inside your body, and the nerves, numbed with tiredness, are not capable of reacting to anything anymore. It is as if you are tied to a pole and threatened by a man with a hammer. First, the hammer swung backwards in order to hit hard, then it swung forwards, only missing your skull by an inch into the splintering pole. In the end, you just surrender. Even the strength to guard yourself from splinters now fails you. There is even hardly enough strength left to pray to God. The never-ending stress of battle was worsened by the conditions of the trench, as described by French journalist Henri Barbusse. The trenches were a network of elongated pits in which the nightly excreta are piling up. The bottom is covered with a swampy layer from which the feet have to extricate themselves with every step. It smells dreadfully of urine all over. On June 1st, the Germans attacked Fort Vaux, a stronghold of the French lines, and after 9 days of consistent and violent fighting, had secured the fort, and with it established a line of trenches further into France. The Germans, desperate for an end to the attrition, which had already resulted in over 150,000 casualties by this point in the battle, assaulted Verdun, targeting the line between Vaux and Souville. However, fate did not smile upon them, and with the advance bogged down on the slopes of Souville, French machine guns and artillery tore the German assault apart, painting the French countryside red. The consistent back and forth continued until in late October, General Charles Mangin suggested an idea to liberate Verdun, utilizing 3 divisions and over 1,000 artillery guns. The Germans, though offering stiff resistance, crumbled under the weight of the overwhelming artillery and manpower, and as a result had lost Douaumont and later Fort Vaux in November, and alongside that, 6,000 German prisoners of war, many of whom were desperately tired of the fighting. The French, sensing the opportunity and noticing that the Germans were beginning to lose at the attritional battle, launched the final offensive on December 15th with an opening artillery barrage. After the barrage had ended, 4 French divisions had advanced into German lines. The German counter-barrage occurred 2 minutes too late and failed to stop them. By the end of the night, the Germans had lost Privy Hill and Hill 378, both of which had been heavily contested. Fighting to not lose momentum, the French turned south and fought into the defensive works at Beaugenal, destroying over 115 guns and taking over 9,000 prisoners in what is now known as the Battle of Louvement. It ended on December 18th with the capture of Chemret by the French, and with that, it was the end of Verdun. What began as a German attempt to deal a decisive blow to a presumably crumbling French army had turned into one of the most violent struggles of the 20th century. Over 300,000 French and German service members were killed during the fighting, and 9 villages wiped off the map. As a result of the fighting, over 65 miles of French territory were contaminated with unexploded ordnance just from this battle. The war would continue for another 2 years, and what was supposed to deal a tactical and propaganda blow to the French became a symbol of French resistance and culture, which is remembered to this day. I would like to apologize for my French pronunciation. As you can tell, I'm not very good at speaking in front of a microphone, but I give it my all. Thank you so much for watching this video. I understand that this video might have been relatively short, and I did skip over some of the smaller unit actions, and I do plan on making a more in-depth cover of those once I can get more research done. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have anything you'd like to cover, do let me know in the comments. Thank you all, and have a wonderful day.